The film centers on the Terminal Island Penitentiary, which streams Death Race globally through a well-liked subscription website on the web. Death Race isn't merely a competition to reach the end, but a clash that pits vehicle against vehicle. The movie starts by depicting a competition close to its conclusion between Machine Gun Joe and a renowned masked driver called Frankenstein, who is accompanied by a female navigator. Frank's protective mechanisms malfunction, and Joe wrecks Frank's vehicle. His navigator ejects, probably leaving Frankenstein severely injured or deceased. Jensen Ames is framed for his wife's homicide on the same day that the steel mill he works at shuts down. The killer is actually a masked intruder that gestures with a finger gun at Ames as he departs. Ames is sent to prison where he is pressured by the cruel prison warden Hennessey to become the new driver of Frankenstein's Ford Mustang. She informs Ames that she's aware of his infant left in foster care and that prisoners are liberated upon succeeding in 5 death races, but as he'll adopt the guise of the renowned Frankenstein, who had 4 victories at the time of his demise, he'll only need to win 1 race. The races are divided into 3 phases. Stage 1 and 2 are competitions where the driver must endure, and in Stage 3, winning the race is necessary for it to contribute to the tally toward freedom. Ames observes another driver, Pachenko, replicate the identical hand signal as the intruder who murdered his spouse. Right before the Stage 1 race, Ames meets his co-pilot, Elizabeth Case, who coincidentally was Frankenstein's former co-pilot. While racing, 3 drivers perish during Stage 1, Syed, Grimm, and Travis Colt. Ames concludes in the final position after enduring a severe impact from Machine Gun Joe. Ames discovers he is involved in a scheme to maintain the myth of Frankenstein, exclusively for Hennessey's personal gain. He challenges Hennessey regarding the chauffeur, but she instead presents him with images of his infant residing with foster guardians, inquiring whether he believes he could care for his child better than the foster caretakers. Enraged, he seizes one of the photographs and departs. On the eve of Stage 2, he visits the workshop of Pachenko's squad to confront him. He is assaulted by several members of the squad, but is aided by a colleague from his workshop, enabling Ames to retaliate and almost fatally injure Pachenko. His vengeance is foiled by the prison authorities, instructing them to reserve it for the race. Ames enters the Stage 2 contest and promptly interrogates Case about her motives. She informs him she was instructed to undermine Frankenstein's defensive weaponry so he wouldn't secure his freedom, thereby securing her own. Ames comprehends that his survival isn't part of the death race plan. Rather, he's meant to perish, paving the way for another Frankenstein to enter the prison and maintain audience interest in the races. Seeking vengeance in Stage 2, he disables and overturns Pachenko's car, allowing him to retaliate by fatally breaking Pachenko's neck as he attempts to flee the wreckage. 5 drivers remain until the Dreadnought eliminates 14K, Carson, and Riggins, Hennessey's covert weapon, an 18-wheel tank truck brimming with powerful firearms developed over several months. Ames and Machine Gun Joe manage to dismantle the Dreadnought and complete Stage 2. Recognizing Ames's understanding of the situation, Hennessey equips Ames's car with an explosive ahead of the Stage 3 race to ensure he doesn't reach the finish line. Nevertheless, Ames devises his own plan inspired by an earlier race's destroyed billboard, conveying to Joe that he and Frankenstein need to converse. The Stage 3 race commences with only 2 drivers remaining, Frankenstein and Machine Gun Joe. The race starts, and Ames soon seizes the lead. However, the odds are against Ames as Hennessey manipulates the track to favor Joe. Throughout the entire lap, Joe closely follows Ames, and as they approach the start of the second lap, Joe readies newly included missiles and launches an RPG towards Ames. However, they appear to miss the car and instead strike the billboard at the first turn of the track. It is revealed that the image Ames perceived was a pathway to the bridge leading off the island to the mainland behind the demolished billboard. Ames and Joe flee onto the bridge, chased by police cruisers and helicopters. As the cruisers approach the 2 cars, Ames releases his exposed fuel tank, causing it to detonate and halt the pursuing cars. Turning to her contingency plan, Hennessey then commands that the explosive beneath Ames's car be triggered, but nothing occurs because Coach, Ames's mechanic, had discovered, removed, and disarmed the bomb before the race began. Evading past the bridge, Joe and Ames part ways, and Hennessey instructs the helicopters to concentrate on Ames, but he swaps positions with Case when she informs him that Hennessey had already endorsed her release papers for her work, and that she was indebted to the old Frankenstein. He leaps from the car, leading the helicopters to assume he is still inside. Joe reunites with Ames and they embark on a train to flee, expressing regret over Hennessey's ongoing survival. Soon, Ames's Mustang is intercepted, and Frankenstein is captured. Afterwards, Hennessey is convinced she prevailed in the end, as a sentinel informs her about gifts dispatched to her due to the record-breaking count of spectators subscribing to the death race. Nevertheless, the detonator placed on the Frankenstein vehicle is within, and Coach detonates them. Half a year later, Ames and Joe are depicted toiling in a scrapyard in Mexico when Case unexpectedly appears. The pair is delighted to see her, and Case encounters Ames's infant, Piper. The film concludes with Ames elucidating that despite recognizing his distance from being the finest guardian globally, nobody could adore his baby more than he could.